What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Seahawks Now, your home for all things daily Seahawks news, rumors, and updates. Today, we're talking about the big news yesterday, the Seahawks making progress in their decision-making as far as whether or not they should bring back Tyler Lockett. But first, before we get into it, guys, if you're not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below so you don't miss another future breaking news alert or update. Really appreciate the support and really appreciate having you guys here. All right, let's get into the video. Should the Seahawks bring back Tyler Lockett, the veteran receiver, 10 years now with the Seattle Seahawks, and he has gone from basically being a relatively unknown kick returner to being a star receiver to now being kind of more of a veteran receiver. But remember, for a while there, he was Russell Wilson's favorite target. Not really anymore. Last year, he was pretty clearly a wide receiver 3. He pretty clearly has been surpassed on the depth chart by the youngster Jackson Smith-Jigba, which I'm fine with that. That's what happens. That's what happens when guys get older. That's what happens when you draft a really good young receiver in the first round. You want him to take over Tyler Lockett's status. But now the question is, should the Seahawks actually bring back Tyler Lockett? Well, Mike Macdonald had some interesting thoughts. He says, I think we're working through that right now. Those decisions we'll have when the time comes in the next month or two. So it sounds like the Seahawks either haven't made up their mind or Tyler hasn't made up his mind over whether he wants to return on a limited contract, which is interesting to me. Last year, remember, the Seahawks had to restructure his contract pretty heavily in order to help themselves get under the cap. This year, it's pretty drastic what the cap hit is. It's a $31 million cap hit. And what's weird about it is he's only actually owed $10 million. But the cap is very confusing, and the Seahawks, Tyler Lockett's a cap hit of $31 million. The Seahawks right now are $13 million over the cap, so realistically, they would need to probably cut Tyler Lockett's cap hit in half if they wanted to get under the cap for next year. The reason that it's a $31 million cap hit is because they've pushed money from previous contracts into the future. So the 2025 base salary is only $10 million, but there's an additional $20-ish million coming from previous years that they've pushed down the road. It's all weird with the cap because you could push money in the future, but it still counts for the cap for that future year. Very, very weird indeed, and very, very complicated. I'm not an expert in the caps. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert. What I can say is that that's a lot of money, and when a team is over the cap, they need to get under the cap, and for Tyler's sake, he would if he wants to come back, he would almost have to do it on a heavily restructured deal, and he would almost have to be giving up money in the process, which it would always be difficult for him because he doesn't want to give up money. At the same time, has he earned the money? You could say yes, right? You could say a lot of this money is money he earned when he was really good. So why does he not deserve it now? Now that he's kind of fallen off a little bit, and the answer to that would just be he probably does deserve it. He probably does deserve it. But if he wants to come back and play for the Seahawks, it's going to be hard to work that out with the way the financial aspects are right now. Now, maybe they can find some other ways to shift things around. Maybe they do trade DK Metcalf. I don't think they will. I don't want them to, but maybe, you never know how things are going to shake out. But it's interesting what specifically when Mike Macdonald says those decisions we'll have when the time comes. So he says we'll have those decisions. And I think he is including Tyler in that. I think there are ongoing conversations. It sounds, though, like Macdonald himself maybe isn't a part of those conversations because he says he thinks we're working through that. Well, does he think it or does he know it? And if he doesn't know for a fact that they're working through it, then that indicates that he's not the guy in the room having those conversations. So most likely this is a John Schneider issue and a Tyler Lockett issue, and that is the two of them coming back. Now, look, I want to just give my thoughts on whether or not the Seahawks should bring back Lockett. Personally, as a Seahawks fan, I do think they should bring back Tyler Lockett, just simply because I think he's earned it. Look, the team next year, as much as we want them to be a Super Bowl contender every single year, the team as it stands next year, is probably not going to be a Super Bowl contender. I think they're going to be good. I think they could win 9 or 10 games again. But I don't think that realistically, we are not a top 5 team in the league. And now crazy things happen. But when I see, do we stack up with the Lions? Do we stack up with the Eagles? Do we stack up with the Washington Commanders? I don't think that we really do. And so, unless we are legitimately a top 5 team in the league, really trying to win a Super Bowl, then I do think that we should bring back Tyler Lockett, because if nothing else, I think he's a solid number 3 receiver. I think he gives a good veteran presence on the team. Geno likes him. DK likes to play with him. JSN likes to play with him. Mike McDonald, I think, likes him. Pete Carroll always loved him. So, for a hardworking guy who has earned his spot, I think that there's only 2 reasons why Lockett should leave the team. A, if he wants to, then we should honor that, because I think he's also earned that. He has earned the right to say, I want to be traded, or to say, I want to explore free agency, or if he wants to retire. So if he wants to leave, either for retirement or if he wants to go to a different team, maybe he wants to go play with Russell Wilson, or maybe he wants to go to Vegas and play with Pete Carroll. If that is the case, then I think the Seahawks have an obligation to honor that request, because, again, he's earned that after giving 10 years of his life to this team. But the only other scenario I would see getting rid of Tyler Lockett is if you're like a top 5 team and he's clearly weighing you down. And I don't think he is. I don't think he's weighing the Seahawks down. I don't think he makes them worse. I don't think... Now, does he necessarily make them better? No. And from the contract angle, you could say because they're paying so much to him, they're not able to pay it to other players who might be better. So in that way, he is making them worse. And I can see why, you could say that. You could argue that. But again, I think until the Seahawks are at the point where they are legitimately trying to have the best roster in the NFL, which they're not at that level right now. They're just not. And it's okay to admit that. It's okay to be honest about that. Until you're at that point where you are legitimately like, yeah, we're better than the Eagles, then I don't think you should worry about keeping Tyler Lockett, about cutting Tyler Lockett. I think Tyler's earned a spot here. Tyler has earned a spot here. Like, he's a really good player. And I understand that he's slowing down. And look at the stats. Last year was pretty clearly the worst year of his career. 49 receptions, 600 yards, 2 touchdowns, 12.2 yards per reception, and just 134 yards after catch. So was it a good year for Tyler? I can't objectively say it was a good year considering what he's done in the past. But still, for a number 3 wide receiver, 600 yards, you'll take that. 12.2 yards per reception, you'll take that from a number 3 receiver? So you have to put it in perspective. Tyler isn't a number 1 guy anymore. So as long as you're not paying him like a number 1 guy, I think it's fine to bring him back. I think I would. But that's just my take, guys. I want to hear your thoughts down below in the comments. Should the Seahawks bring back Tyler Lockett? If so, why? If not, why not? I want to hear it. As always, guys, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment down below, all that good stuff, and thank you to FanArch for bringing us this video. All right, guys, until next time, go Seahawks, and I'll see you tomorrow.